hear that, sheetheads? That's the sound of a brand new bootylicious anchor ad, heating up the intro with a sensual vibe, so you can start this episode of Bread Sheet nice and soggy. Say, have you got ideas you want folks to hear? Well, nowadays it's titillatingly easy to broadcast yourself with Anchor. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started spraying your brain thoughts out into the ether. That's how I do it, monetization and all. And if it's good enough for Haas Bossman, well, you know it's gonna leave you satisfied. Now why don't you slip into something a little more comfortable and prepare yourself for this week's edition of Bridget.
That's right, I'm calling you out, which, if you're new around here, that means that we're going to meet at the K&K to fight. Mr. Goblin is quite chill, so much so that his little mascot guy has, like, really red eyes, which I understand to mean he is exceptionally chill. I think that's what that signifies, but I don't know if he's much of a fighter, being so chill and all. It doesn't matter. Chill Goblin's who I'm calling out today. Say, have you ever been in a situation in which someone happens to have red eyes, and for whatever reason they don't want anybody to know, and someone asks them why their eyes are red? Just hypothetically, I would say, I'll give you a chance to go ahead and guess it out loud. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, allergies. Of course. Sleep deprivation is also a plausible eye-reddening situation. A couple things you could say, feeling a little sick, whatever. Anywho, have you ever heard someone give a terrible answer to that question? I'll tell you, when I was in high school, a couple dudes who shall remain nameless left the school for some reason, like they drove somewhere to do something school-related, and when they returned to school, their eyes were super red for some reason. And they walked in the room, the teacher asked them why their eyes were red, and one of the guys goes, "Ms. Booth," her real name, "if you had eaten the food that we ate." Which was a horrible answer to that question. Anyway, I am calling out the Duke of Leftist Comedy YouTube. That's Leish Nilbog, the Grand Goblin of Chill. Ladies and gentlemen, Chill Goblin is on this, as recently a new friend of the show, R.M. Brown might say, piece of crap, also known as my stanky podcast, Bridge.
It's actually Revelations, actually.
Is there such thing as insanity among penguins? Is there such thing as insanity among penguins?
I would like to see the baby. I mean, just give me a break, man. And nobody puts that in books. And nobody puts that in books. And nobody puts that in books. When you got a man and a woman together. I tell you, Blue is such an important movie. That is not a human right there.
So, there's another episode of the call out of the guest I'm having on the episode you're hearing. That's Chill_Goblin on Twitter. Even though Mr. Goblin is seriously internet famous, he doesn't need a call out. He's got, let's see here, 25.3 subscribers on YouTube. And I don't know, how do you get half a subscriber? And, oh, that's a K? 23.5 thousand. That makes a lot more sense. Better straighten up and make this a tight, professional, brief intro here. So that was a goof. I know, K means 1,000. Chill Goblin, kind of like R.M. Brown, has a huge YouTube channel and not a very big following on Twitter. So go give them a follow, both of them, R.M. Brown and Chill_Goblin. I don't remember what Aaron Brown's username is, but it's something kind of weird. It's like X Aaron. It doesn't matter. Follow Chill Goblin today because that's my guest. I'm going to make this intro a short one for a couple of reasons. I still have an evergreenish mini-sode plotted out, and I know I said that was going to be the next one last time, and I hate to even have to think about this, but awesome guests like Mr. Goblin help grow the show, and the numbers have been going up on the slower side since I got a job and started releasing like every month or two. So I find that I have to release a mini-sode within a week or two of a proper full guest episode for it to like perform well. You don't care about any of this crap. Let's get to a little Haas news. Then we'll jump right into the interview.
It's Haas news. It's news from Haas about Haas. You can listen to. It's a Haas news.
Haas Ooze item number 1. I got a new dog. He's adorable. He's a little schnauzer or something, kind of a mutt. He's named Mo. He's adorable and sweet and a good companion for Fancy. He's been snuggling with her. Good size for a little apartment. This is an audio podcast, so I'll stop talking about this now and say go to Instagram or Twitter or whatever. Follow Haas_Bossman if you want to see some pics and vids and whatnot. Okay, Haas News Part 2. I built a Telecaster style guitar from a little kit in which you build your own crap. A kit which my dad sent me for my birthday. It's all like painted and strung up and sounds effing bootyful. So be on the lookout and hear out for the upcoming very first Haas original guitar build, the Fancy LaRue Testacaster is what I'm calling it, and you'll actually hear it on. I used it first real thing I recorded with it to honor Chill Goblin was his theme song, which you'll hear in just a minute here. And 3 news. Okay, Haas News item number 3. I'm starting a podcast network. So far, it's just a music sting that sounds like this.
This is technically content.
But hit me up if you want to join. I think it's basically just going to be a way for smaller creators to promote each other's shows on a regular basis. For now, it'll probably be an enormous empire soon. And finally, number 4 here. I'm working on a new video that's almost done about Pete Seeger and Malvina Reynolds' amazing haunting song From Way Up Here. It looks better than any video I've made. I think it's a pretty interesting topic. I've got to cover the song and use it in the vid, and over like 20 minutes or so this video lasts. So I gotta go over a lot of stuff about space and folk and protest music, and I think it's just going to be the one to make me internet famous. Okay, Haas News done. Alrighty, I'm going to play a clip from old Walton Gobbins, just a little short riff he did about how white he is, which is kind of intentionally corny, cliche stand-up in places, but one of the jokes in particular is very good in the way that an old-time joke sometimes can be. I guess an old-timey joke sometimes can be.
Now, before I start, I just want to check my privilege real quick. I'm an obnoxiously white person living in a settler colonial country. I'm so white that I went on vacation and everyone called me a gringo. And I was in Norway. Come on now. I'm so white, my ex-girlfriend is currently dating a glass of milk. I guess she found someone new to give her strong bones. Come on. Oh, we like to have fun around here. I've got the melanin of a marshmallow. Okay, I'm so white when I walk around town late at night, I hear car doors unlock. I'm a very white guy, textbook settler leftist. I can't getting no respect, I tell ya. I'm so white that I'm going to attempt to discuss colonialism, and I'm sure to have some pretty massive blind spots here, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Please feel free to correct me where I'm wrong, or let me know what I missed in the comments.
That was from Chill Goblin's fantastic video, Fascism and its Secret Best Pal, Colonialism.
When I interviewed Sam from the great YouTube channel Where in Hell, who you'll hear in this interview used to be the old Gobstopper's roommate, but when I interviewed him, he mentioned that I mentioned that I love the intentionally bad stand-up comedy in one of his videos, which is called, I'll have to insert that with a robot voice because I can't remember what that video that has the good fake stand-up in it. And apparently, Mr. Goblin helped write those, like wrote a lot of those like fake stand-up jokes, and they're great.
The video in question is on the We're in Hell YouTube channel and is called The Conservative Comedy of Steven Crowder featuring the Surfs.
If you're not familiar with Mr. Goblin, I highly suggest you check out his amazing YouTube channel. Really in-depth, truly funny and informative and entertaining stuff. I forgot to ask him during the interview, but he does this awesome thing where like little drawings draw themselves around him, and in the background when he's doing like talking head type stuff in front of a green screen. You've definitely seen something similar done if you watch any YouTube videos. A lot of like explainer type videos on YouTube are in this format in which like representations of what a disembodied narrator is saying appear on the screen as if they're being hand-drawn, sometimes with a hand included in the effect. I'm not sure if he actually does those illustrations or somebody else does them, but they're awesome, and it really makes the experience watching his videos even awesomer. In any case, old Chili Gobs, he uses this effect better than anyone I've ever seen use it by far. It's like very tastefully done. The art style seems pretty original, feels very like organic and relevant or appropriate. I don't know. It works. And he does a lot of other cool crap in his videos too. So go give him a subscribe and a like and a share and all that stuff. Really great YouTuber. Quick note on his theme song. It took a really long time, both because Chill Goblin has so much content to choose clips from and because I have a stupid job. Hello, Haas from the future here. This is probably coming out of nowhere because I'm recording it and inserting it in the future. But I just wanted to say that I think I'm going to switch up the way I do the guest theme songs. If you don't know, I make a theme song for every guest, which is a gimmick, and it's the main reason that episodes take so goddamn long these days. Well, that and the fact that I have to do job crap. I spent so long on Chill Goblin's theme song, and I had a great time doing it, but it just took forever. And I think I got it to a point, finally, that I'm happy with now, and you'll hear it right before his interview. It'll be the last thing that you hear. But I do complete from scratch compositions for the music, then I comb some of the guests' content for clips of them saying stuff I can possibly edit to sound weird. Then the process of pulling the clips and editing them and arranging them, it's just really time consuming. Plus, it's just not really my thing. I should leave the fun voice chopping remix mashup leftist content to DJ Danerky, the guy who did the theme song for the Knowledge Fight podcast, a bunch of stuff for Michael Brooks back in the day, Majority Report. He rules, and you should check out DJ Danerky stuff. But I think I'm going to try leaning into my specialities and write lyrics and sing and all that crap for my theme songs, which I think is what maybe people might have expected, and that was kind of what I was thinking I was going to do. But now I'm going to actually try doing that. Using clips, that whole thing kind of happened accidentally. I don't know. I don't remember how it happened exactly, but probably not in a super interesting way. So anyway, I'm going to start doing that, writing them and singing them and stuff. And I hope you love that. Let me know what you think of the idea. Do you love the clips too much? You want me to do, or you think switching it up sounds like fun? And I don't know if I've explained in a long time or maybe ever how the music on this show, what I do with it. It's just the songs, the new songs that you hear every episode. Like I've got ones that I use for segments and stuff, but also every episode I make a like theme song using samples from, the Apple Loops library mostly. So that's what that song you already heard was with the soundboard and stuff. And that is just pretty much pure fun. It doesn't really take that long to make them. I usually just kind of throw them together while I'm editing, and the theme songs are also a lot of fun. They just take way, way longer to do, but the theme song is a completely original composition that you will hear. I always play it right before, like leading into the guest interview and leading out of it. It's a theme song, that's how I use it. Anyway, I love you, and I now back to whatever dumbass sideways ramble I was just on. God bless y'all for listening to this crap. And also, I, finished putting my homemade Telecaster together, so I wanted to record something with it. And I gotta say, the guitars on this track are pretty nice sounding. So, yeah, Mr. Goblin has the honor of having his theme song be the first thing I ever tracked using the Telecaster. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twit, which is short for Twitch, and Patreon at Hoss_Bossman. Please rate and review and share this podcast. It really does help the show out a lot. And what did I ever do to you to not deserve you doing that stuff? Subscribe to the Hoss Bossman YouTube channel and find all those links and much more, including original serious-ish and silly music, such as The Sounds of Breadsheet, in the description of this episode, or simply by going to www.hoss.fun. More importantly, follow chill_goblin on Twitter and subscribe to his amazing YouTube channel. Truly one of the funniest and most informative channels out there. Here is his theme song, followed by his interview. Please enjoy, and I'll be back at the end to send you off and kiss your butt.
Gather round. I want to tell you a story.
The platinum ass is a false idol. The platinum ass had to make blood sacrifices to the Wombat King. But I've got my own you should use to deposit your poop. Yeah, you could say I know a thing or two about being a man. All glory and respect to human poop. It was useful to deposit your poop in a web so dark and so intellectual that spread a lot of those shit particles.
I want to tell you a story.
A Brett Weinstein adventure. Story of how pooling money with your roommates to buy a samurai sword set from a convenience store is inherently valuable. Brett Weinstein has been described by himself and others as the source of some disturbing fetishes. Disturbing fetishes. It's a guy's thing. Michael Malice is a platinum ass you should use to deposit your poop.
Brett Weinstein is
Small and uncomfortable, but you should use Ben Shapiro to deposit your poop. You should use Andy No to deposit your poop. You should use members of Project Veritas to deposit your poop. I guess they don't mind being turned into eucalyptus to deposit your poop.
So I think I mentioned I teach high school, and I asked my students today if they had any ideas for questions to ask a professional YouTuber.
Okay.
Because, as you can imagine, that is like literally every single teenager. If you ask them what they want to do for a living, it's some professional, some social media type of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I thought they'd have some good questions, but they did not. Their questions were horrible.
That's funny.
It was.
What did they ask? What did they want to ask?
It was stuff like, I think they just didn't, couldn't think of it something in the moment or whatever, because it was just stuff like, is it like hard? How do you do it? Very, very vague.
Okay.
So maybe we can answer some of those questions with more specific stuff.
Sure.
Here.
Yeah. It is hard. I can answer that one. It is hard.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so I guess first of all, your background, like you're from, where do you live in Canada somewhere? Where exactly?
That's right. Yeah, I live in Toronto, Canada, the capital of Ontario. The I don't know, the New York of Canada. It's like the big city, kind of thing. But yeah, as for my background, so I guess like most people are probably, well, I don't know, most people, but a lot of people are probably like, oh, I have a PhD in political science or whatever on LeftTube, it seems. But I don't. I'm not like that smart. I went to film school, and then I spent several years as a stand-up comedian, amateur open micer kind of guy. And during the coronavirus lockdowns, I was kind of very needed a place, a creative outlet for my stuff, because I couldn't do stand-up anymore, which was like, I was kind of getting performance withdrawal. I don't know if that's a thing, but I really wanted to have a creative outlet, and I have always been kind of, I don't know, interested in politics. And I remember when I guess like a hero of mine, Michael Brooks, passed away. That was when I really kind of was like, I really want to start doing something. That kind of like motivated me to put some stuff together and make a YouTube video. I'd also spent like the last few years working with We're in Hell. You said you had We're in Hell on. You had Sam on before?
Yes, I did. He said that y'all were roommates at the time anyway. That was like...
That's right.
Yeah.
Actually, we are still roommates for today only. He's actually moving. He's got his own one bedroom bachelor pad he's moving into tomorrow, so that's exciting for him.
Nice.
Anyway, but yeah, good friend of mine from way back in the day. Also Toronto stand up. And I had been helping him work with his scripts for his channel before I had done mine. Like we would meet up, talk about his ideas, and mostly I would just be like punching it up and thinking of jokes and stuff like that. And I started to see him get a lot of success, and I was like, I could do that. This is easy. And I tried, so I started it out, and turns out it was not as easy as I thought. But it's been good though. It's been a good run that I've been having. And I'm grateful for that. I don't know. Does that answer your question? Is that am I talking about the right thing?
Yeah, no, like how you got into YouTube, kind of like, I mean, that I've heard that a similar thing about the pandemic from a lot of people. I think like that's when I started doing this podcast.
There you go. Yeah.
So I mean, it was really like we started working from home with I was working as a copywriter at the time, and I was just like, I'm going to just commit some time theft and just make this podcast when I'm supposed to be working.
Hell yeah.
And very much in the spirit of, the leftist politics there. So, I noticed like in one of your video, or like I think it was maybe an ad spot you were doing, like the background wherever you were sitting like looked like the most beautiful city, and I recognized I don't know what it's called, like it's kind of reminds me of like the Space Needle or something.
Yeah,
in the background.
CN Tower. The CN Tower. Yeah. That's Toronto's tallest freestanding structure. I believe it used to be the tallest freestanding structure in the world until Dubai beat it recently.
Oh yeah, that I used to lived in China for a while teaching English, like a lot of people do, and I
taught in Korea for a while.
Oh, okay, cool. I think I've heard you mention that before. The neighborhood that I lived in China, it kind of like reminded me of that. I was like, man, that looks like a really like a city that has a lot of, from what it looked like, a lot of apartment buildings, a lot of like residential stuff.
Yeah, a lot of condos.
Is that like the case? And is Toronto? I don't know. As a city, how would you? Is it? Does it have a good like sense of community? I don't really have a good idea of what like cities in Canada are like in general. I've never been to Canada.
Okay, I mean, it's not like a kind of like Asian style city. Like, I don't know. I haven't been to China, but I spent some time in like Seoul and Tokyo and I don't know, Bangkok and stuff like that. I don't know. It has its pros and cons. I would say the coolest thing about Toronto is that I believe it's still the most multicultural city on earth. So we have like a bunch of people from all over the place, and that means the food here is like incredible. There's so many different cuisines in Toronto that you can really enjoy. If you ever come to Toronto, you should just try as many different types of food that you've never had access to before as you can, because there's so much good stuff. The bad sides of Toronto, I guess, like a lot of cities in the US, we have horrible rent prices, like just absolutely predatory, landlords. We've got condos just being built everywhere, a lot of them sitting empty so that the owners can, I don't know, wait for an opportune time in the market. I don't really get how it works, but
that's something that's going on in China too, right? Like this huge empty buildings.
Mm-hmm. We definitely have a lot of that. I think, I know the video you're talking about where I have like the Toronto in the background, and it is that district. I was over at my girlfriend's place shooting that, and she's got like a condo that she's renting from the owner of the condo, but it's like right in the middle of like a condo kind of district. So there's a ton of those types of buildings. The whole city isn't like that. There's nice, parts. There's nice kind of little not built up areas. There's cool places that have yet to be gentrified. There's places that are in the midst of being gentrified that are still pretty cool. I don't know, lots of cool shops, cool restaurants, bars, clubs. I don't know. It's a cool city. It's fun, and it also sucks. What can you say?
Is that, sure. I mean, is that? I'll tell you, I definitely, after living in Shanghai and Taipei and Atlanta,
the itch to like get out and live in this. I grew up in a really small town, so like really wanting to get out there and get to the big city. I definitely got like burn out on that, and now I'm just like fine to not live in the city anymore.
Oh yeah, you're not living in the city now?
No, I'm living in like South Georgia, and I mean I guess it is a city in a way because we were looking at the crime statistics, and I think it's by far the murder capital of Georgia, and it's like number 10 in the U.S. I think for the murder rate like per capita.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and that's my girlfriend is a defense attorney here, and I teach high school here, so we get pretty good a lot of insight into what's going on in that area. But anyway,
the hot murder gossip. Huh?
yeah, it's a lot of fun. So you said you grew up in a small town. That was actually the next thing I was going to ask you. Like, what kind of area did you grow up in, and how would you say it was? It a kind of conservative area? Did it like influence your politics at all?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, good question. I grew up in a small town, Orangeville, Ontario. I mean, it's like, I don't know, maybe some small town purists might call me a poser because it's got 30,000 people in it. But actually, I mean, I'm not even from Orangeville. I'm from an even smaller town that's just like, Orangeville's the closest thing to it. So I was just saying from Orangeville.
I know how that is.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But I grew up there mostly. I went to high school in Orangeville. I hung out with a lot of people in Orangeville. Orangeville is a very conservative area. It's like always conservatives win every election. We never have any whatever. Like it's a guaranteed conservative spot. There's like anti-abortion protests. There's a lot of religion, a lot of Jesus stuff, a lot of Catholic schools. I growing up, I kind of, I guess, wanted to kind of rebel against all that. I was like really into leftist politics in high school. I was in a punk band in high school, and I was very like anti-religion in high school because I looked at religion and right-wing politics as kind of inseparable back then. And I have definitely cooled down on that since that time. I've kind of, I had my edgy atheist phase that I've sort of grown out of. I think that, spirituality and religion is cool and not necessarily going to lead you to being a reactionary, conservative person. But definitely at the time I was very much, anti-religion, anti-conservative stuff. I remember like just like pissing people off and like getting into arguments with people in Orangeville. And later on, I remember like my punk band, all of our songs were about George Bush, just like obsessed with like American politics. And then when Obama got elected, I kind of went to sleep for a while. That was when I was in university. I stopped being that political. And it wasn't really until Trump got elected that I went back into left-wing politics and started reading stuff, which is, kind of embarrassing. But I think a lot of other people did that same thing.
That is complete. My girlfriend, when I started watching her channel, would just poke fun at me for like, you're watching this guy who looks like he could be like your brother or something, the blonde hair and everything.
I can see it.
And and then like little tidbits you drop. She's like, this guy is like just like you. Like this, you're in a punk band in high school. You went through an edgy atheist phase that you now very much regret. Went to sleep during Obama. I hadn't heard that. A few of those things there I hadn't heard. Like the last interview I did just a few days ago. I was talking about that. How like I'm a little bit. I'm pretty embarrassed about the fact that I was like hardcore into politics, like to the point of I would say from about the age of and I say this all the time, but like from like 11 to 15 thereabout, I thought like anything that wasn't political punk was just like bullshit. And
yeah.
So, but that's I never really. I always got the sense that you were a musician, like from some things that you said, and then I heard your Umberto Eco song, and I was like, oh, okay, he must have a little bit of a like background with like songwriting or something. Tell me a little bit about that, like as a musician. I guess you have to tell me your whole life story, I guess, but like it seems like you kind of went from musician to doing stand up. How did that like transition happen, or would you even call it that?
I mean, used to be like really into music when playing music when I was in high school. I I started playing piano as a young kid, and then I didn't really like it. It was just like felt like a chore, and I started playing the drums. I got really into that. Drumming was like my life in high school. My first Facebook account, my name was James Drummer on it because I don't really know why. And I was just like every night after school, I was, I was in a bunch of the school bands, like junior band, senior band, jazz band at school. I was like the drummer. I was like the drummer at my high school. And everyone was like, oh, James is the drummer. We're starting a band, so you better join our band kind of thing. And I was in the 3 school bands, and I was in like a band that did like classic rock covers. And the main one was that punk band that I was in. And I did that for years. That was my life. I was like obsessed with percussion. And when I moved to the city, I couldn't really have a drum kit with me. I couldn't have I had neighbors. I had whatever. Growing up in a small town, I had like a backyard. I had like space around me. I had like a room that I could play the drums in. And I wasn't bothering anybody except for my family. So moving to the city, I couldn't really do that anymore. And I didn't even have, I've thought about getting like an electric kit, but I don't really have the space for it, So anyway, I started playing guitar when I got to university, just like as a hobby. I'm not like good at it. I can like passably do stuff. Like I can play, I wrote that like Umberto Eco song and
like you can maybe
that.
play like rhythm guitar in a band or something like that.
I can do rhythm guitar. I can do a little bit of finger picking. My big what's it called? Quarantine project was learning to play Jolene.
That's cool.
Doing like the finger picking for that, which was very difficult, but I can do it now. Now I seem like super legit.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I've also done a lot of musical comedy. I've done that was something that, because like, oh man, musical comedy, like if you're not that funny and you're not that good at music, you can put them both together and people are like, well, it's pretty impressive he can like sort of do both of those things, and like people will be like way more forgiving. So I feel like that's like where I'm at. I'm like, yes, I can do a little bit of musical comedy. I did like a really fun pop punk parody band for a while called Angst for the Memories. That was like so fun. We just did all these like whiny like Blink-182 Simple Plan style tracks, and that was really fun. And I've done quite a bit of musical comedy, so I'll occasionally write songs. I write a lot of the music in GarageBand that I use as like background for my videos as well. So yeah, I don't know. I'd love to get more into the musical side of things, but it's very time consuming, and I don't know. The videos already take me a while.
Yeah, that's one of my really my biggest gimmick with the show is every guest I make a special theme song for them. So you're gonna have your own special unique theme song, and I do most of it in GarageBand. But I recently started plugging up the guitar and the interface and like experimenting with that. So definitely doing some more. I'm getting some better sounding stuff recently. But you mentioned the drum thing. I also have wanted to get a drum kit since high school because but I just have never had space for it. And I've been looking at reviews for these little tabletop like electronic kits.
Ooh, okay.
And of course, they seem like not nearly as good, but they, the ones I've been looking at, like a couple $100 and have like pedals and, the reviews I've seen on YouTube and stuff, people like say like, it's responsive and it's good if you don't have the space. So I'm definitely looking at getting one of those. So that's maybe something you might want to look into.
All right. Tabletop drum set. I'll look into that.
Doing musical comedy. That is I've always found that really kind of intimidating. And I think the reason I found that kind of intimidating, I make like this silly music stuff a lot, but like I think for many years I never like touched that because I like idolized Tenacious D and Weird Al so much.
Oh yeah, hell yeah! Can't wait for the new Weird Al movie.
Oh yeah, God, I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah, Weird Al's like probably one of my like top 3 influences.
Yeah,
love that guy.
Same here. Yeah. Probably even bigger is, even though Weird Al had been listened to forever, is Tenacious D, just because like I
my friend Max and I, who I've been playing with, I still do. He when we were like 12, 13 years old, we like just learned a bunch of Tenacious D songs. That's how we learned to harmonize together and stuff. And so I'd say like just as a musician and a player, they've like influenced me a lot, which I think is kind of funny when I tell people that, especially when they're only familiar with like my serious music. But
their music is good. Like Tenacious D, their songs are good. Like they're not just funny. Like their music is fucking it kicks ass.
I'd say that's part of like almost part of the joke with them and Weird Al is that it's so good, but then it's like you think about what they're singing about and it's like so silly. But yeah, so when did you start doing stand up? Like, was that did you kind of go from punk to musical comedy to stand up, or was it kind of a mix?
So my punk years were like mostly high school. That was when I was like doing punk stuff. I mean, I don't know, like musically, I still did punk stuff after that, but not in a band. Well, actually, no, that's not really true. This is embarrassing. I was in a Harry Potter punk band for a while in when I got to college. Yeah, we were called. I don't even want to say this, but we were called the Hufflepunks. That was what the name of our fucking band. Anyway,
that's great. Yeah, you should wear that. That's a badge of honor.
Like maybe I should never say that again out loud.
Well, if you have regrets and want me to edit it out, just let me know.
It's okay. Oh god. Yeah, we'd do like we'd play like wizard rock shows. Oh god. Like it was like this whole world of stuff where like any music that didn't have to do with Harry Potter, we called it Muggle music, and. Yeah, we would play at like libraries to like a bunch of children who oh my god, like after the shows, kids would come up to me and get me to sign their Harry Potter books. So I've like signed like several Harry Potter books. Like there's a few copies of fucking Goblet of the Fire kicking around out there at like thrift stores that have my name like ruining its value in there. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic here. I did through university. It was pretty much like right after university I started doing stand up. I always wanted to do it, and I was like waiting for somebody to be like, "You're really funny. You should do stand up. Well, why don't you come on and do my show?" And like no one ever did that, so I just went and did it eventually. I guess I was like 22. And I love stand-up. It is the best. It's so rewarding. It's incredible, like that instant feedback you get from the audience. And yeah, I did that very unsuccessfully for about a decade now. You know, I've had like moments. I did a show with Joe Rogan and Big J. Okerson and Russell Peters once.
Dang. How long ago was that?
It was a few years ago. That used to be my big like. That would be like my credit kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I was on stage with Joe Rogan. Now I'm a little bit more embarrassed about saying that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But
that's still like a huge deal, though, right? I mean,
I've had cool moments, but you know, I haven't done any like festivals or anything like that. I was mostly like an open mic guy. I used to do like so many shows, you know, like there was a point where I was doing like 10 to 15 shows a week, just like hustling, running around town, doing as many as I could, and just like I don't know, like I definitely got a lot out of it. I learned a lot about joke writing and performance and stuff that I didn't have before. I look back on the recordings of my early stuff and I'm like, oh man, that guy sucks. And a lot of that stuff I've learned I think has translated really well into YouTube, but that none of that was really that punk until I started doing the Angst for the Memories thing. Then I started getting more punk stuff. I don't know. I feel like I got ADHD and I'm just kind of rambling. I don't even remember what the question was.
Well, like going from I'm also, not when I ask a question, I think sometimes I go a little bit too like broad with it or something, but I mean, it seems like, well, let's go ahead and talk about music. Like, in terms of like political art, and we might maybe come back to some biographical stuff, but
So what is your, I guess, I know what your opinion has been in the past. So you have a different kind of background. Like I think everybody I've interviewed are people who are like aware of punk and, but never really got into it. And maybe like most people have some level of respect for it. But I think political music, like the main thing people complain about is that it's, as I was saying recently, like it's either, way too preachy, or it's like Green Day, American Idiot, way too like bottom shelf, kind of like simple, easy, like just boring.
American Idiot kind of is preachy, even though it is bottom shelf. It's kind of both.
That's true. And so what? Well, first, what do you say to that? Like people who have that attitude toward political music, maybe even like political art in general, that it's like that it doesn't really serve any purpose, or it's superfluous or something like that. What's your opinion on like political art as a whole, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I really like political art. I really like political punk music, like anarcho punk, or just kind of punk that gets political, because I like politics. I'm a political guy. I'm a political person. I mean, we're all political. Everything's political, and I don't think it's like a problem for bands to get political. And if you don't like their politics, then I guess maybe don't listen to them. But I don't know. I mean, I also think that like sometimes like leftists can be a little bit like, oh, that band sucks because they're not political. And it's like, nah, sometimes it's okay to listen to non-political stuff too, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess like, I don't really have like a strong opinion about whether art should be political, but I think that like, it's fine if it is. I think it makes it better if it has good politics. If it's like there are probably some things that have terrible politics that I do like as pieces of art. Like I think that's a thing too.
Yeah, there's some thrash metal I like that I'm pretty sure a lot of those guys are like weirdo reactionaries.
Oh yeah. I mean, like that sounds right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, like the Ramones, like the Sex Pistols, whatever. Like they've got some kind of right wing politics. What's his name? Danzig.
Oh
but,
yeah.
What are you gonna do? I saw that like that Big Joel video I think it was like a couple months ago. He did on 300 and how it's like basically Nazi propaganda, but it's also that movie fucking rips. That's a good movie, but it is very like fascist.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that assessment. I haven't seen that Big Joel video yet. His videos have not been coming up in my recommendations. I'm gonna have to go back and find those.
He just dropped one today on Jordan Peterson. I just watched it. So I had him fresh in my mind. But yeah, no. Anyway, I don't know. What's the problem exactly with political music? Like I don't know. I like it. I do find it's kind of funny. Like I listen to a ton of like political punk music, and I also listen to like ska music and ska punk.
First tour I ever went on was with a ska band.
Oh, so, nice! Yeah. Hell yeah! I love ska. Whatever they get shit, but I think it's good. I've been listening to the Interrupters. Do you know them?
That's the band I went on tour with. Taj Motel Trio became like good friends with them over the past like several years, and so they play with them like with some frequency. And I think it was before they've like really blown up in the past like couple years.
Oh so yeah, they've really good absolutely taken off. Yeah. No, I fucking love the Interrupters. They're like if Rancid had Joan Jett as their singer, basically, is what they sound like.
Yeah, that's a great description.
Like that's like exactly what they sound like. But like I've been really into them. And like they have a lot of they're like ska punk, I guess, kind of like Rancid. But when they go on stage, like it's really noticeable how like a lot of punk bands you listen to, right? And their politics are like, in 1956, the CIA, blah blah blah, like whatever. Like they'll be like very specific, and like Interrupters will be like, with this one goes out to anyone who's fighting against racism. That's racism's bad or whatever. It's like very like vague and like not really specific, you know. You know, like it's fine, like it's good, but it's definitely like it doesn't scratch that same itch that like, you know, I don't know, listening to like The Coup or like even like Chumbawamba or Pat the Bunny or like some folk punk bands that are you know, much more specific.
Yeah,
with their shit.
I think there's and that right there is kind of a point that I've heard brought up a few times. Is like how that like, you know, talking about what makes good political art, and I think it's not just like that more specific is bad or less specific is bad, but there is some kind of like it's the specificity. It has something to do with it, I think. And I mean, I heard the Chris Hanna, the singer and main songwriter for Propagandhi.
Love Propagandhi.
Yeah,
they're a Canadian band.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, one of my favorites.
What's your favorite album?
Probably Supporting Cast.
Oh, okay. All right.
And but I really loved their most recent one. I did a cover of Victory Lap that Chris Hanna commented on.
Whoa,
and that
cool.
like really was probably the most important thing that's ever happened in my life. So
that's awesome.
He did kind of start his comment with "ha." So I don't know what that.
Okay,
but you know, hey,
that's still
something.
legit that he did that. Right?
Yeah. He seems like such a nice guy, which is weird considering like with their first few albums, the persona is like way different from like how he comes across in interviews and stuff. But why did I bring him up? He was talking about
Propaganda.
Yeah, he was talking about how his songwriting style changed, and one of the things he said was how he was talking about how like, you know, I try to fold in like personal with political things a lot more instead of just like writing this like manifesto about the COINTELPRO papers or whatever.
Okay,
I was like, yeah, that is an exact, and that you can see their evolution, I think, really well in terms of I think the lyrics are good early on, but they just take on a more artistic merit, I think, with time.
That's fair to say. I do prefer their older stuff personally. Like when it was like, I feel like they got a little bit more metal as times went on. I like their early stuff. Less Talk, More Rock, and How to Clean Everything. I've rinsed those albums so much. Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes as well. But they're good, and they're like one of those punk bands that's like extremely political.
Oh yeah, that's like their whole thing. And they I definitely had a thing with them when I tried to listen to the more metal stuff later on. I was like, I don't like this, because I wasn't really I think I just wasn't as sophisticated as a musician and or maybe appreciator of music or whatever. And then I started revisiting them a few years ago, and I think I was like ready to embrace the more like technical metal stuff that they were kind of doing. And yeah, I mean, you know, it's still them, but yeah, I totally get the if metal just, or if there's like a line of heaviness maybe that you don't really like to cross or something, yeah, those newer albums are
I don't know what it is. I mean, they're definitely like all incredibly talented musicians. I remember listening to Potemkin City Limits and being like, what is this? What happened to these guys? You know? I've listened to, you know, Supporting Cast and like all of their later stuff. I haven't checked out their most recent album, I don't think, but I like it, but I always go back to their early stuff, I guess.
Victory Lap, their newest album, it's got a little bit more of that punk energy to it. Like they a little bit back. I'd highly recommend it.
Hell yeah, I'll check it out.
Sorry, I just ate a peanut for some reason.
Why would you ever do that?
You know, I'm trying to have a conversation here, and okay, cool, yeah. What was it? Music. So like in political art, political music, like I don't know. Do you have any ideas about what it is that makes it effective versus ineffective? And even maybe like take that to comedy, you know, if you want to talk about the fact that conservatives are like mostly not funny at all, or is something like that. Like what is it that what makes political art effective versus ineffective. Do you have any ideas on that?
Okay. Wow. Okay, that's a good question. I'm not really sure how to answer that. First of all, I'll say I think that and I'm definitely I've talked about how shitty conservative comedy is for a while. But I recently read this book. I think it was called That's Not Funny. It's called That's Not Funny, and then the subheading is conservative comedy in media or something like that. I forget the full title, but it was really interesting because it sort of went into how conservative comedy actually does exist. It is a thing, and if it's easy for us to say it's not funny because it doesn't make us laugh, but it does make some people laugh, and it's doing better and better. Bro, did you know that that show Gutfeld !
Yeah.
Right? And I've watched that show. I've dunked on that show on stream. That show fucking sucks. There's no good writers on it. The comedy doesn't make any sense. You can break down the jokes and be like, what were they trying to do here?
Yeah.
But the fact is, that show, according to this book I just read, that show gets better ratings than The Colbert Show and The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. It's doing really well. And
Holy shit.
Conservatives love it. And conservative comedy is becoming bigger and bigger. And you see channels like Steven Crowder and, all these fucking guys. All the Joe Rogan, Legion of Skanks. There's a neo-Nazi comedy podcast with a name that I don't even want to say. There's just there are right-wing, reactionary pieces of shit, as far right as you want to go, who are doing comedy and getting big audiences. And I think that comedy, like music, is a good way to get your point across. I mean, if punk wasn't spreading a message of some kind, then Nazis wouldn't have bothered to try and infiltrate it. There wouldn't have been all the fucking Nazi, whatever, oi bands. Not that all oi is for Nazis, but a lot of it is. Anyway, there is something that it's doing. I don't know exactly what, how it can be most effective. I think that I don't know. I don't really think of what I do on YouTube as praxis. I think of it as just I'm creating entertainment for people, and hopefully that they'll be entertained, and maybe it'll strike a chord with someone, and my politics might help somebody go on to somebody who's actually going, might find a way to help out in their community or join an org or do something that's more substantial than just watching YouTube videos and whatever, even just reading theory. But comedy, music, punk just sounds cool. It's cool. The aesthetics are cool. It's fuck the system, oh, that's cool. And comedy is it's funny. Oh, I like to laugh or whatever. It's so it helps the message go down a little bit smoother than just going up to somebody and being sharing an Upworthy post or something, or it's very patting yourself on the back for being a good person. You're putting the vitamins inside of the bologna or something, you're tricking your kid into eating their vegetables kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what the strategy is. I mean, I'm sure there's a right way to do it. There's a better way to do it. I don't really know. I think maybe it's good just to have a bunch of different methods of getting that propaganda out there. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of have centered this show around that, is because political art's always been such a huge interest of mine and huge part of my life. And then I just in doing that, I've always encountered so many differing opinions on it. And so that's why I was I'm gonna use this show to interview people who make political art, and it's not always. Sometimes I'll have professors on or something, but generally I like to try and get people who make political stuff of some kind from the left, because I think it's very unfashionable for YouTubers and I think content creators online in general to to talk about themselves in terms of I'm doing something that is like making any kind of impact or whatever, right? Because I mean, I totally get that. You don't want to like come off like you're like full of yourself. I mean, that's what these like weird Jackson Hinkle and all these like freaks they all think like they're they think that they're like so important, and I think like that ego is like so unbecoming, and I think a lot of people think that. But at the same time, like I think what you were saying there is like what you do is super important. And as far, I think, a bunch of different approaches, like I think that makes a lot of sense. I think of what I do, like teaching high school English, like, and in America where they've just passed these like weird ass laws about like you can't talk about stuff, politics, or say racism is bad. Fortunately, my school I teach at is like 99% black, so I don't think I don't think that rule is going to be enforced. If I say something about racism being bad or whatever, I don't think I'll get in trouble for that where I'm at right now. But it all depends on what kind of area you're in. But
Jesus, yeah, that shit is fucked.
Yeah, it freaks me out, and that's one reason I'm like, I don't know if I could ever move back to a small town around here anyway, because it would, I couldn't teach there because I can't keep my fucking mouth shut, like, especially about certain things. And it's like I'm just so willing to die on too many hills for that.
Oh my god, me too. I like, especially after the pandemic, being like shut inside, talking to all my like trans communist friends online for like 3 years, and then trying to like readjust to hanging out with my bro friends. Be like, hey, don't say that. You take that. Like I get like too upset. It's too much. I have to learn how to let things go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you can definitely get steeped in. That reminds me kind of like what when Ben Burgess went on Joe Rogan. And actually, it had just happened. I think when I interviewed We're in Hell. And so we talked about that a little bit. So maybe get your thoughts on that, or that idea, like platforming people. Ben, I was just cards on the table. I consider Ben a friend to a degree. We're both in Georgia and have met. Or no, wait, we haven't met in person, I don't think. But because he's up in Atlanta teaching at Morehouse College. But he was like one of the first guests to come on the show who like had a decent following and stuff. And what you brought up earlier about Michael Brooks, like that was like a huge catalyst for me too. It was like when that happened, I think Ben specifically said that too, that like, man, he was like, I felt like I have to do something.
That's when he started his give them an argument show, right? Like after Michael Brooks passing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. It was like it like lit a fire under his ass or whatever, and it kind of did the same thing for me. It's kind of I don't know. I think that's something that would make Michael Brooks happy if he knew that a bunch of people were like inspired by like the enormous hole that was left in the online leftist sphere or whatever. That I think like his approach of using humor and stuff was like severely lacking. And I think you and there's some other people on YouTube who have like picked up that mantle really, really well. And so, where was I? Just kind of got off track there.
Are you talking about Ben Burgess on Rogan?
So, one of the big things he talks about is like how we have to learn how to talk to normal people as leftists, because we're terrible at that. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I like Ben Burgess. I'm definitely like further left than Ben Burgess is, and some of the things that Ben says, I'm like I roll my eyes at. But I definitely don't consider him like an enemy or anything like that. I did see people saying that he was platforming Joe Rogan, which I think is kind of like a misunderstanding of what platforming is. Like, no, like Joe was the one platforming Ben in that situation. Ben wasn't like legitimizing Joe Rogan. He's already the most popular podcast in the world. I guess like, could he have gone harder on Rogan for certain things? Probably like, maybe the blood he has on his hands from his COVID misinformation. Yeah. But all together, all things considered, I feel like it was probably a good thing to have him on there. I mean, like it really, listening to that though made me sad that we never got Michael Brooks to go on the Rogan podcast, because there's no one who is like born to be on Joe Rogan like Michael Brooks was. Right?
So true.
Like
yeah.
he would have been the perfect leftist guest. And Rogan does not have many leftist guests on there. You know, and like the ones that he does get on, like, you know, Ben's great. Ben's a smart guy. Ben does not have Michael Brooks's charisma and, like, you know, just like his humor, his incredibly, like, you know, encyclopedic knowledge of, you know, geopolitics and historical factors, you know, in his leftism, that his leftism was informed by. And just like, God, it made me sad. And the part where Rogan says, like, oh yeah, Michael Brooks, I love that guy, man, R.I.P. Like, he said, like, he knew about Michael Brooks, I guess. And just hearing that, I was just like, fuck. Like, that was just like, it wasn't like losing Michael Brooks hurt so much, not just because he was just like, oh, I liked watching that guy, now I won't get to watch him. It was just because, like, I truly felt like he was going to be able to, like, make a difference. Like, that guy was really going to be able to bring these ideas to people who never would have considered them otherwise. And the fact that he never really got to reach that potential is just, God, I don't know. It's heartbreaking on an entirely separate level. But anyway,
yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. Like, you know, that Michael Brooks would have been perfect. Like, like he's made in a lab to be the person to go and, like, the ambassador to the, like, normal people or whatever. He really did.
The ambassador to, like, specifically to Joe Rogan fans.
yeah.
Like, they would have loved his shit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And he would not have had to, like, pander or mince words at all. Like, he would have been able to, because, you know, Ben, when he was on the show, I think one of the things he said to me was, when, you know, some of the criticisms came in from how he was on the show, like, he said, you know, if I had been asked on there to talk about trans issues, I would have said no, because I don't know much about
That's
it.
Fair.
And
That's very fair.
You know, so he, you know, he was invited on specifically because of his book that's, like, kind of critical of the comedy canceling something.
Yeah, canceling comedians while the world burns. I read that book.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I thought it was kind of like, I don't know. I don't really agree with the idea that, like, because we're canceling comedians, we can't also care about climate change or whatever, which I feel like is kind of silly. I kind of go into a lot of my issues with the. Honestly, I think that the left, I agree with Ben that the left is sometimes annoying when they're talking about stand-up comedians. I also think stand-up comedians are often annoying when they talk about leftists. So my latest video is, like, basically all about that kind of...
Yeah, love that one.
Like that gap between the two groups. And I'm, you know, I do comedy and I consider myself a leftist. So I'm kind of feeling like I got one foot in both worlds, wanted by neither type situation. So I tried to kind of square that circle in that video in a way that I don't really think, like Ben will talk about some kind of, like, exiting the vampire castle type stuff, about how, like, the left can often sort of act like kind of like overgrown, you know, hall monitors or whatever, and be a little bit like a priest looking to, what's the word? I forget how Mark Fisher puts it, but like we're a little bit too puritanical sometimes, and we kind of got to understand that not everybody's read all the same blogs as you have and watched the same, you know, videos as you, and we need to be better at, like, reaching out to people and reaching out to liberals, I would say, mostly.
Yeah.
In a way that is not as abrasive. I mean, yeah, Obama, horrible guy. Immediately writing somebody off because they like Obama, maybe like I don't know, a little bit more outreach.
Yeah. Dive in a little deeper there, because like, you know, I cried when Obama was inaugurated. It was the first time I was ever able to vote. I thought it was like the biggest deal of all time, and I was, you know, very. I thought that he was. I thought he was an actual progressive, like, you know, how he ran.
A lot of us did, yeah. Yep. A lot of us did. That's what I thought.
But yeah, I mean, I think your latest video, what's it called?
It's called "Free Speech is Ruining Stand-Up Comedy."
There you go. Yeah, "Free Speech is Ruining Stand-Up Comedy." Great inflammatory title there. The first YouTube video, like video essay I ever made, I called it. Or the thumbnail says "Tenet hates women," like the movie Tenet, and
nice.
the title was like something about it's Tenet is sexist trash. And
Nice.
I talked about like there being some slight sexism in the movie for like a minute, and then the rest of the video had nothing to do with that. But it was
funny.
You know, very clickbaity kind of thing.
That's what you got to do. That's what YouTube forces you to do.
Yeah, that one actually worked. I don't want to watch the whole thing here. I shouldn't. That one I think worked pretty well, and then. On Parler, I impersonated Steven Crowder before he had a chance to make an account. So I had the name at Steven Crowder on Parler.
Oh my God.
And I got like I have screenshots somewhere. I got like 40,000 followers before they canceled the account, or like, you know.
No way.
So,
Did you post anything?
Well, yeah,
Did you do anything with it?
Yeah, I've got screenshots of all that. I should really like make a video about that or something. But
Do it.
yeah. I posted that video, and that's how it got, like, it's got the most, you know, my channels, I've got like 100 something or 300 something subscribers, and that video has like 10 times as many views as anything else, just because of that Steven Crowder thing.
Wow.
But
that's hilarious.
Yeah, I got a lot of funny comments on that one too, about like how I'm an SJW or whatever.
Nice. Hey, that's engagement. That's
Yeah,
engagement, man.
for
That'll
sure.
boost you in the algorithm.
Yeah.
I always post my videos on like the subreddits that I think will be most upset by them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
I always do that.
That's a great idea. I should do that.
Yeah.
I've been trying to do the opposite, but you know, maybe a little bit of both would be good.
Oh yeah. I also post some places that I think they would be liked. I'm not only masochist here.
That'd be weird.
But
yeah.
it is actually quite good for your video if people are like downvoting it and commenting on it and watching it, and like some people will watch it and like put in like the timestamps of where they disagree and stuff like that, and it's like, yes, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for watching the whole thing probably multiple times to get your take on it.
I guess that's why like Second Thought always ends his videos with if you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. It's like, yeah, I guess you should do that, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if there was any like loose ends on the, you know, talking about the political communication, I guess it might be a good way to put it, of like, you know, how to do more outreach and stuff. I feel like you and the good comedy YouTubers, the comedy leftist YouTubers, are doing something that is actually really important. And I sincerely appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm basically the Messiah.
Sure, yeah, and I'd say that too.
Saving the world.
But and I know, you know, you seem like a decent person, so you know, I understand that it makes you a little uncomfortable to get that, but I think it's true. Your demeanor. I've been trying to kind of sort of in that spirit of like political communication. I had R.M. Brown on the show recently. I don't know if you've seen
that guy's
his,
hilarious. I love that guy's stuff.
God, one of the funniest dudes. And I had him, and then I've had like some other people who I feel like what they're doing is so important because it's not preachy, but it doesn't doesn't mince words, and it's not mean-spirited. That's the phrase I'm looking for. It's not mean-spirited, and I think so much leftist content can be, or really just content in general, right? It just can take on that. Even when he's like making fun of people, it comes from a playful place, and I think you kind of do something similar with that. It's like the leftist nisosphere or something. I don't know if you'd want to call it that, but
the nisosphere.
I feel like there are people putting out more positive content that is still, as critical of capitalism as we want it to be or whatever. Is that something like intentional? Do you think that your persona is just a result of your personality, or do you kind of make an effort to be nice, for lack of a better word?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I definitely think that I sometimes try to do that. Some of my videos I'm better with that than others. It's tough, right? Because I do feel that it's good for engagement to be like really condescending and mean sometimes, like to pissing people off. Like I said, like it's good for engagement. But I do I don't know. At the end of the day, like I don't think somebody's a bad person just because they like Brett Weinstein. And like my Brett Weinstein video, I think I was a little bit too like, oh, really, Brett? Wow. Sounds like something an idiot would say. And it's like kind of pushing away people who might have otherwise listened to the message a little bit more. Like I really like Timba on Toast's videos about, Tim Pool and stuff, where he's like, some people say this about Tim Pool, but he says this. That's really interesting. And the way he says it, I actually think that's really good. Let's look into it and like see if we can get down to the bottom of it. And so like if people are watching who are Tim Pool fans, they'll be like, okay, this guy sounds reasonable. Let me like hear him out. And they might watch like the whole video before it gets to the part where he's like, that's pretty fucked up, Tim Pool, and by that time they've heard all the shit and they're like, actually that is kind of fucked up, Tim Pool, like I feel like that's probably a better way to go about it. I know in my I did my video Gender Theory for Dudes, and it was like at the beginning I did something different with that one where like at the beginning of it I like normally like I would have been like, oh, you don't think trans women are women? Well, you're transphobic. Get out of here. Don't subscribe to my channel. You're a piece of shit. But with that one I was like, yes, trans women are women. Now if you don't believe me, that's okay, but like listen to me try and make like my argument here. Like, let me try and lay this out. And I feel like that was a much better way to get the thing across. So, yeah, I do think that it's better to be nice and to be chill and to be kind of like welcoming to people. I think that's something that has become more of a conscious effort of mine. But it's not always easy or possible. I think there's a limit. Let's say there's a limit. I'm not really looking for Charles Murray fans, so
Sure.
I'm going to go hard against his stuff without much. Well, let's give him the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah. There might be, some role for people to like nicely and patiently talk to neo-Nazis or whatever, but that's a pretty heavy lift there that I don't know if most people are up to.
I mean, yeah, like sure, that would be cool if that's effective and if there's a way to do it, go for it. But I don't know. I feel like we gotta be reaching out to the libs more than the Nazis. I also like I did sales for a while, so maybe that's part of my background as well. Actually, I was like a telemarketer, and there's one like lesson that I think about all the time when it comes to like this sort of thing, called feel, felt, found. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, so this was like a sales tactic. So it's a way of manipulating people, but it works really well. Where you call up somebody, right, and you're like, "Hey, would you like to have your air ducts cleaned or whatever kind of scam you're running on them?" And they're like, "Oh no, I don't need that in my. That sounds bad." And then once you get that objection, you can just do feel, felt, found, where you're like, "I understand why you feel that way." You acknowledge their feeling, and you say, "I felt that way myself a long time ago," and then you actually are being like, "Not only can I empathize with you, that's actually what I was like." And they're like, "Oh wow, okay, I can listen to this guy," and you go, But after I learned about how important it is to get your ducts replaced. What I found was my entire life was improved. Sure. And so like that little tactic there, feel, felt, found, is so valuable for like a lot of people like myself, who I mean, like I have spent time on 4chan and like some of the darker boards of Reddit, and I've spent time in these kind of like edgy bro spaces in my life, like I've been there, and that helps me to reach out to other people who are in danger of falling down the alt-right pipeline or whatever, and like it's a little bit of a connection you can make with people that I think is valuable, and I don't know, could be used.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's important to use your perspective to kind of like leverage or use it as like kind of a way in with people or something. Like, I always talk about with my dad is like very conservative, but he's also kind of open-minded in certain ways. So you can actually talk to him. It's just I think he like seems to just forget the conversations afterward, but he's like one of those people who, if you just like break down each individual issue, it's like, Dad, I think you're like a socialist actually, but you won't ever,
it's so funny. Like you can talk to people about like socialism or communism or whatever, like anarchism, but as long as you don't say any of those words, they'll be like, yeah,
sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Democratize the workplace. That sounds great, actually.
Yeah, for sure. That is such a good way in with people, I think. And I think that's one of the things that Ben Burgess seems to like really focus on and put at the forefront of his like what he advocates for, right? And I think that's you've got, and then Richard Wolff as well, like kind of really focusing on the workplace stuff, and that's something I've seen like through talking to my dad growing up in a very conservative, like right-wing Christian kind of area, is just that like, if you can, I don't know, use the right language with them, that
totally.
They'll be more with you. And I think that, having that background has made it so that it's like when somebody says something that's like racist but it's like, I can tell it's just because of ignorance. I think that maybe other people, I can maybe be a little bit judgy of people for being too judgy of that, because I think there are other people who just don't know, like they don't know people like that, didn't grow up with people like that. So they don't understand, like, no, this guy literally just doesn't know that black people and white people's brains are not different. Like,
right.
Like, I mean, even stuff like that, it's like, they're just acting on terrible information, and just got to present it to them in the right way, I guess.
Totally. Yeah, totally agree.
So is there, I guess we've been going for like an hour, so I want to be mindful of your time, and I really appreciate you coming on once again, and I got a couple of like little cute, fun questions I like to ask at the end.
Nice.
So here's the if you could snap your fingers and change one thing about the, say, U.S. government, what would you go with?
Okay. If I could change one thing about the U.S. government, probably would be, geez. I don't know. I guess like as far as like policy goes, Medicare for all would be saving a lot of lives. But if I could change anything about the U.S. government, wait, let me think. Okay,
sure. Take your time.
Maybe I would abolish the CIA. What would be better? Wait. Oh, I can change one thing. So could it be like I could change their one aspect of their foreign policy?
I'll allow it.
Okay, so I would change the aspect of their foreign policy that demands that they coup, invade, or otherwise topple any government that is expressing any kind of a left-wing tendency. That would be my thing. So then that has a lot of trickle down things, and they lift the embargo, Cuba, whatever, sanctions on Venezuela, all kinds of shit. I think that would be good.
I love to see the logic people use of like, Are you going for just the number one most important issue to you, or are you thinking strategically about like what would happen as a result of this? I think you're doing the latter there for sure.
I'm trying to like think of like a utilitarian, like ethical thing. If I can only change one thing, then how can I benefit the most people?
Sure.
And I feel like if the U.S. just stopped fucking up everybody else who was trying to do shit like that, I think that like a global left movement would be so much easier to build, and that would like end up saving so many lives.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. I always go for the strategic reason with money in politics.
Oh, that'd be good too.
I think that could solve a lot of problems. But they don't have money in politics, and they have like limits on the amount of money candidates can spend in other countries, and it doesn't seem to stop like reactionary weirdos from getting in office. So, maybe it'd fix some things, but yeah, the foreign policy, it's like. I think, there's like two reasons foreign policy, I think, is an important area to focus on there. It's like it has the biggest ripple effect probably in a very immediate way. And it's like that's the thing that is literally just like killing people,
Yeah.
Instead, not through inaction or bad policy or whatever, like just actively murdering people, like
totally.
That's an easier thing to get people off board with, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, are there any? I'll go ahead and let you go. If
do you have any more cute questions?
I'm trying to find my little list of them. That's the one that
I was expecting like the James Lipton, like if you were to meet God or whatever, like his stuff. What would you like him to say to you? Oh yeah, that was it.
Well, how about that one then? Maybe I should add that to the rotation.
I'd like him to say, I don't know. What's up, dude? Welcome to heaven. It's fucking sick. We got we got mini Ritzes all over the place. Your favorite. I do like mini Ritzes.
That's like mini Ritz cheese sandwiches or just the straight up?
I don't even want those ones. I just want those little crackers.
Oh, well, those are great, tried and true.
I can just want to shovel them, as many of them into my mouth as can fit.
If you could have any superpower, what would you choose and why?
Oh, okay. I would choose. Geez, I don't know. I was gonna say invisible, but I feel like that makes me sound like a massive creep.
Yeah.
So I won't say that. But I guess I'll go with I wish I could. It'd be cool to be able to teleport.
That's a good one. I don't know if people don't say that one a lot. It's
I'd
usually
like to
flying.
be able to teleport and like go anywhere on Earth. I don't need to fly there. Whatever. If I want to see a nice view, I'll just teleport myself really high up and then teleport myself somewhere safe before I hit the ground.
There you go. Yeah, I think that tracks. Or
or maybe I could teleport myself into a plane. That'd be cool.
That would be so. Just literally, the only thing you use it for is to skip TSA and all that bullshit.
Yeah, basically, save money on a plane ticket.
Do you are you a side sleeper or a back sleeper or a belly sleeper?
I'm a belly sleeper. Put my head to the sides. Sleeper, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
I don't think that's good for you, but that's pretty much the only way I can sleep.
Yeah, I think I'm about the same, something like that. There was something you mentioned earlier that made me think. Have you ever seen the YouTube channel What Makes This Song Stink?
No, that sounds good though.
Yeah, have you seen What Makes This Song Great? It's
another YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's What Makes This Song Great is like this Rick Beato. I don't know what he's a producer or something like that. Older guy, and it's a great channel about just tons of different types of songs and just just in depth kind of explication of them. And then this kind of as a parody of that, this other dude made a channel called What Makes This Song Stink. Very, very funny YouTube channel. I highly recommend it. But
all right.
One of the things he was recently doing, they're about to put out or he's about to put out like a fake pop punk EP. And so he's doing like a parody.
That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, like doing kind of something similar to what you did. I highly recommend checking that out. Yeah, What Makes This Song Stink? The channel is Pat Finnerty, I think is his name. I don't know why so many Irish people are musicians, especially kind of punk-ish style.
They
musicians.
gotta stop that.
Yeah,
they
I
gotta
know,
stop
for real.
doing that.
So what is our? I'm like Scots Irish, I think. What is your European lineage?
Yeah, Scottish, mostly Irish, I think, and Scottish, British, Norwegian.
Me too. So that would make sense why we have like the same color hair and all that crap.
That's it. Yeah.
Did you take a 23andMe or something?
No, but my aunt did a bunch of research into our family background, so I have like some interesting little tidbits about that. Yeah, I don't know. Did you do the 23andMe?
I did one of those things. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, like Ancestry.com or something. And yeah, it showed up like, pretty much the same thing you just said, like 70% Scots Irish, like 20% English, and then the rest was Norwegian.
There you go. Nice.
There you go. So, we might be like related.
Yeah, probably are.
Decently, yeah. Do you have any so this is the last thing I'll ask. Do you have any recommendations for the audience? You mentioned that you, like some YouTubers you watch and stuff. The main big left tubers I talk about quite a bit. Is there maybe any like YouTubers who you think are like underrated, something that's being slept on right now?
Yes. Okay, I can give you some great underrated channels. There's, first of all, Chris A. That's XHRISA. Massively underrated channel. Puts out so much good content. Funny, good editing, got some green screen, got some like cool animations and effects and stuff, and like really well-informed stuff. Definitely check them out. What else? There's one that's new that I've been really liking. It's called, what is it called? I think it's called Anrel, ANREL. It's about like anarchy, but like specifically about relationship anarchy, which is kind of like an interesting concept, but also just anarchy in general. They have just a few videos out right now, but recommend them. Gotta shout out Fantastic Mr. Fox, who does a lot of great stuff. Trans man, who that's like a really important perspective, I think.
Yeah, you do not get that. I guess that perspective isn't pushed on me and by the algorithm very much.
No, right? And yeah, like I think that's like super cool. Like trans dudes are like so I think like cis dudes have so much to learn from trans dudes. It's like people who didn't just like always like never have to think about gender, but like somebody who's actually had to figure out what is it mean to be a man, who it wasn't just like, yeah, you're a man, whatever, do your thing. Like it's really like helpful. I don't know. I really like their content. And like, they have like a lot of cool insights on toxic masculinity and male privilege, and also male, what would the opposite of privilege be? Shitty things about being a dude that like that doesn't really get talked about. But
sure,
somebody who's like seen both sides of the coin has like maybe a little bit more insight. Anyway, Little Hoot, mainly Mandy. There's so many. Geez, I know I'm gonna wish I thought of more, but that's a good start right there. That's a good start. Oh, Rosenkreutz. Rosenkreutz is great too.
Man, I've not heard of any of these, so I'm stoked to go check them out this evening while I'm doing some grading or whatever.
Hell yeah!
Yeah,
let me just double check on Rosenkreutz spelling, because it's like weird. It's Rosencreutz.
Okay.
Rosenkreutz. Yeah.
All right, got that.
Yeah, check all those people out. They're all good. They've all got good stuff.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that stuff out. I'll talk a little bit more about like recommend some of your videos and tell your socials when I do the intro. But
cool. I'm so psyched to hear that song. Oh my god!
I hope you like it. Well, now and whenever I know the person is a musician, I usually like spend a lot more time on it, try to make it like more interesting.
Okay.
I don't release. I've been releasing like once a month, so this is. I'll let you know before it comes out, but it'll probably be like a month or so before it comes out. Nice. And so we didn't talk about any like news stories or anything, so I think that'll be fine. Cool. So you want to go ahead and like shout out your socials and where people can find you, follow you?
Cool. That's the whole reason I agreed to do this.
Sure,
All right,
yeah.
this moment right here. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's Chill Goblin. I do YouTube videos that are basically like if PragerU took acid and then had good politics. Also, could be described as a communist magic school bus. So check me out. Chill Goblin on YouTube. Chill_Goblin on Twitter. The Goat and the Goblin on Twitch, where I stream with Sam from We're in Hell. And I don't know. Give me money on Patreon. That's the only thing that's mandatory of all those things.
Oh, right on. I'll make sure to remind the audience of that. I appreciate your time so much. A really huge fan of your channel. I think
Thank you, man.
You do something with your channel that it's unique. It's nobody else quite doing the same thing, and it makes me so happy to see talented people who the vast majority of talented people are not like a good fit for TV, or there's not enough slots on them for to be successful in show business or whatever, like in the old school way. And it's just so awesome to see people like you and Sam and just like people making content that has a meaning behind it, and I think I wish you all the continued success in the world, and really appreciate your time.
Thank you. That's really nice. Appreciate that.
All right, man. Well, you have yourself a wonderful evening, and I will I'll let you know when this is up, and maybe talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, peace out, bro.
Peace.
Gather round. I want to tell you a story.
The platinum ass is a false idol. The platinum ass had to make blood sacrifices to the Wombat King.
But I've got my own.
You should use to deposit your poop.
Yeah, you could say I know a thing or two about being a man. All glory and respect to human poop.
It was useful to deposit your poop
In a web so dark and so intellectual.
that spread a lot of those shit particles.
I want to tell you a story.
A Brett Weinstein adventure.
Story of how pooling money with your roommates to buy a samurai sword set from a convenience store is inherently valuable.
Brett Weinstein has been described by himself and others as the source of some disturbing fetishes. Disturbing fetishes.
It's a guy's thing. Michael Malice is a platinum ass you should use to deposit your poop.
Brett Weinstein is
Small and uncomfortable, but
You should use
Ben Shapiro
to deposit your poop. You should use
Andy No.
to deposit your poop. You should use
Members of Project Veritas.
to deposit your poop.
I guess they don't mind being turned into eucalyptus to
Deposit your poop.
Now for the end part. Wasn't that an amazing interview? Yeah, it was great. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Twit, which is short for Twitch, and Patreon at Haas_Bossman. Find my realish, serious-esque music at thekmax.bandcamp.com. That's THEKMACKS.bandcamp.com. Or stream the Kmax on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever you use. Find the compilation album of silly music from this podcast, The Sounds of Breadsheet, at hossbossman.bandcamp.com, no underscore, and check out the Hoss Bossman YouTube channel at youtube.com/hossbossman. Again, awesome video on Pete Seeger's From Way Up Here, either just dropped or is coming out soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you real soon. Love ya.
Oh, and I'm gonna play us out with Mr. Goblin's sing-along about fascism, which is based on the Umberto Eco 14 elements of fascism, or whatever that crap is.
And please, whatever you do, make sure you flood the soul of every sentient being you encounter with healing light. I love you.
Hey everybody, come on and let's go read a thing from a guy named Umberto Eco. Many people tried, but nobody matched his 14 things you might find in a state that's fascist.
2, 3, 4.
First things first, there's the cult of tradition. Fascists love a version of the past that's fiction. Number 2, if it's modern, they don't like it. Depravity started with the Age of Enlightenment. Third, taking action for action's sake. If you think before you act, you're a girl or a fake. The 4, don't argue with what they said, or a fascist will make you dead. Hey!
Hey! Number 5, no, this gets hairy. Anything different is very scary. Number 6, play your fiddle fast, because you've got to appeal to the social frustration and fear of political humiliation felt by the middle class. 7 doesn't matter if it's true or not, but they like to talk about some kind of global plot now. Number 8 is strange and just sounds wrong, but the enemy is somehow both weak and strong. 9, pacifists are working for the enemy. 10, if you're weak, then you're not a friend of me. 11, a hero must first take his last breath. That's hero worship and the cult of death. Hey! Number 12 is machismo and weaponry. 13, be populist selectively. Last one, 14, let's go out the door. You've got to limit vocabulary to stop people from complex or critical reasoning, kind of like in 1984. So thanks to a friend named Umberto Eco, we know some warning signs we can use to protect. Oh, and if any fascists are listening to, I would simply say fuck you. Fuck you.
Bonus song, Tobacco and Firearms by the K-Max, available on Apple Music and Bandcamp and Spotify and all that.
If it ever is right to be silent, now is not when it can fall. There's just no time to settle down when the man at the lectern's a throne. And it's valid to ask just how distant can fate separate voices carry. Well, not far enough if you don't call them up. Look beyond the sublunary. Our legacy just might be the remnants of verse scribbled into a tree, the faint susurrations of gone melody. If anything's left, it will be stripped of meaning. If it ever is right to compromise, it is when it moves us along. The bulk of our ills stem from our standing still, and stagnation feels naturally wrong. A heresy just might be the absence of verse scribbled into a tree, the gone susurrations of vain melody, a lack of lasting dignity. Want something wanting reflection, since hate never ventures to cease. Now might be a time signal those down the line. The intent of our struggle was peace.
This is technically content.